I never imagined that one letter could destroy the life I thought I had built. My name is Alex, and I am 28 years old. I have always believed that life could be quiet and manageable if you were careful, cautious, and never asked too many questions. My days were routine, orderly, predictable. I worked at a small publishing office downtown. My office wasn't spectacular, but it was steady, and I liked the feeling of regularity, the rhythm of typing, the smell of paper, the occasional excitement when a manuscript arrived that made me forget time. Even if only for a few hours. There was comfort in predictability. It was a shield against chaos, a way to feel in control when the world outside was anything but. I lived in a small apartment on the 5th floor of an aging building. It wasn't fancy, but it had large windows that let the sunlight pour in during mornings, and streetlights that painted faint shadows on the walls at night. The building creaked at times, and the elevators were slow, but I liked that too. It gave me a sense of being grounded. Like the apartment had lived through decades of stories, and now I was one more. I had a cat named Jasper, a lazy creature who often slept on my lap while I read or worked on my writing. Jasper had been with me for 4 years, a steady companion who required little but gave warmth in abundance. And then there was Sophie. Sophie. She was the reason my quiet life suddenly felt like it had color, like it had texture, like it mattered. She was not flashy or dramatic. She didn't enter rooms and demand attention. She simply existed in a way that made the world feel warmer. Her smile, her quiet laughter, the way she would tilt her head when she listened, it all felt like home. I met her on a rainy Saturday at a small gallery exhibiting local artists. I remember the smell of wet pavement and coffee that morning, the soft gray clouds pressed low against the city, and the way she looked at a painting as if she were seeing something only she could understand. When she glanced at me, our eyes met for a fleeting moment, and something inside me shifted. Something I could not explain, even if I had tried. We started slowly. Coffee dates that turned into long walks. Movie nights that turned into hours of conversation about everything and nothing. We discovered the joy in mundane things. Cooking together, reading aloud to each other, folding laundry side by side, walking in the park while the city slept. Each small act, I realized, was quietly extraordinary. I loved her not in bursts of passion but in gentle, steady waves, the way one loves a rhythm, a song that repeats itself in comforting patterns. She taught me the patience of noticing, the warmth of presence, the way a glance or touch could anchor a person even when nothing else felt certain. 2 years later, we moved in together. Our apartment became ours in ways that mattered. Shelves were filled with our favorite books. Photographs captured memories of trips we had taken. Little trinkets collected from thrift stores and markets stood on counters and windowsills. Every object, every corner, carried a story, a piece of us. The living room smelled faintly of vanilla candles she liked to light in the evenings. And the kitchen held the aroma of herbs she always kept fresh on the windowsill. Even the cat seemed to settle into the rhythm of us, shifting his nap schedule to be near whichever of us was home.
Before we continue the story, download the PDF in the description and stay till the end. You'll find useful vocabulary, examples, and a fun quiz.
For a long time, everything was perfect. Too perfect, perhaps. Life flowed smoothly. We woke up together, shared breakfast, discussed small details about our day. Sometimes laughed at nothing, sometimes sat silently, content in each other's presence. Evenings were quiet but comforting, watching old films, taking walks through the quiet streets. Occasionally hosting close friends for dinner. We didn't need excitement, we had each other, and that was enough. I told myself this was happiness, the kind that didn't shout but whispered. I believed I had found the life I had been searching for without realizing it. And then, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. It started with small, almost invisible cracks. Sophie's laughter became quieter, a shade more subdued. She would stare out the window for long periods, holding her phone loosely in her hands, sometimes reading, sometimes scrolling, always putting it away when I approached. The soft warmth in her gaze dimmed. I asked if she was tired, stressed, or unhappy. She would always answer softly, "I'm fine," but her eyes betrayed a sadness she refused to name. I wanted to believe her. I told myself it was nothing, just temporary. Life could be heavy sometimes, I reasoned, and maybe she needed space. But the distance grew. Nights that had once been filled with conversation or laughter became heavy with silence. We still ate at the same table, slept in the same bed, shared the same space, but the warmth that had once connected us dimmed. I tried to ignore it, clinging to the comfort of routine, believing that love alone could survive quiet storms. I walked through the apartment at night, tracing the edges of memories. The places we had shared whispered of moments I had taken for granted. The couch where we had read together. The kitchen counter where we had spilled flour laughing. The balcony where we had watched the sunset. Each familiar sight felt suddenly foreign, marked by absence. Then came the envelope. It was a Thursday afternoon. I had left work early because my head was pounding with a migraine, and the sky outside was a muted gray. The kind of day that seemed to press against your chest. When I entered the apartment, it was unnervingly silent. I called Sophie's name, but only the faint hum of the refrigerator answered me. And then I saw it. A small envelope resting neatly on the kitchen counter, my name written carefully on the front. I froze. The envelope was light, but it carried a weight I could feel pressing into my chest. I set down my bag slowly, approached it cautiously, and picked it up. Something inside me told me that this letter was not mundane. Sophie had never left notes like this unless it mattered. I hesitated, breathing slowly, trying to summon the courage to open it, but part of me wanted to run, to ignore it, to pretend I had never seen it. Finally, I tore it open. The handwriting was hers, unmistakable, elegant, deliberate. My fingers trembled as I unfolded the paper and began to read. "Alex," it began, "I have waited too long to tell you this. I wanted to protect you, to protect us, but I have only managed to hide the truth. There is someone from my past. Someone I thought I had left behind, someone whose presence has returned in ways I cannot ignore. I never wanted you to know because I loved you and wanted to start fresh. But I cannot lie any longer. My feelings for him never fully disappeared, and when he came back into my life, I realized I could not ignore them any longer. I am leaving because I cannot stay without being dishonest, and staying would only destroy the trust we built. I am sorry, Alex. I hope one day you can forgive me, though I do not know if I would forgive myself. The room spun. My chest tightened until it felt as though my ribs would crack under the pressure. The words were deliberate, honest, and utterly shattering. My mind raced through memories, trying to reconcile them with this revelation. Every quiet laugh, every shared look, every night spent together now seemed fragile, suddenly vulnerable to the truth I had never seen coming. I wandered the apartment like a ghost. Every object reminded me of her. The bookshelf filled with our favorite novels, the dining table where we celebrated quiet victories, the couch where we had spent countless hours in conversation. Everything was unchanged, and yet everything had changed. Sophie had left, and her absence filled every corner with weight, with memory, with loss. I ran my hands along her favorite mug, traced the edges of her chair, and even touched the cold windowsill where she sometimes leaned in thought. Everything was a story of her, and now, without her presence, they were silent stories. Days passed, then weeks. I tried to eat, to work, to sleep, but even the smallest tasks felt impossible. Conversations with friends were distant echoes, fleeting and hollow. Even Jasper, my cat, seemed to sense the shift in the apartment, curling up in corners where she used to sit with me. And yet, amid the devastation, a quiet realization began to emerge. Our relationship had not ended abruptly the day she left. It had ended slowly, in the silences, in the moments we chose not to speak, in the truths we were too afraid to share. Perhaps I had been complicit, choosing comfort over confrontation, ignoring the subtle signs that love, no matter how gentle, could quietly erode. Months passed. I wandered the city streets for hours, drinking in the emptiness and life simultaneously. Cafes where we had shared tea now seemed hollow. The bridges we had walked across were simply structures, not the magical spaces we had made them in our minds. I began writing more. Letters I would never send. Pages filled with thoughts about what I had lost, what I had never truly seen, and what I would someday need to forgive, not just her, but myself. Slowly, I rebuilt my life. I focused on myself, returned to routines I had neglected, took long walks in the city, read books, wrote in journals, and cooked meals for myself. I began noticing small joys again, the taste of fresh bread from the corner bakery, the sunlight that caught on rain-damp pavement, Jasper curling up at my feet. The apartment no longer felt haunted but lived in again, and though the memory of Sophie remained, it no longer controlled me. Her letter became a teacher, a guide through pain and loss. A reminder that honesty matters, that silence can destroy even the strongest love, and that courage is needed to speak even painful truths. And now, when I think of Sophie, I do not feel only pain. I feel understanding. I know that love is fragile, that life is complicated, and that truth, even when delayed, is the most powerful force in a relationship. And though she is gone, I carry her memory with me. Not as a wound but as a reminder. Speak honestly, act with courage, and never wait too long to confront the truths that matter. And sometimes on quiet nights, when the city hums softly outside my window, I swear I can hear her laughter, just faintly, as if the past is whispering to remind me of everything that was real, and everything I still carry forward.
In this section, I'll show you some important words from the story, their meanings, and a simple example to help you understand and use them. The word predictable. Predictable means something that happens in the same way and is easy to expect. For example, my daily routine is very predictable because I wake up, work, and sleep at the same time every day. The word manageable. Manageable means something that is not too difficult to control or deal with. For example, the homework was manageable, so I finished it in 1 hour. The word steady. Steady means stable, calm, and not changing too much. For example, she has a steady job that helps her pay all her bills. The word ordinary. Ordinary means normal, simple, and not special. For example, it was just an ordinary day until I received unexpected news. The word imperceptibly. Imperceptibly means in a way that is very small or hard to notice. For example, the child grew imperceptibly, and his parents only noticed the change after a few months. The word subdued. Subdued means quieter, softer, or less strong than usual. For example, after hearing the bad news, his voice became subdued. The word betrayed. Betrayed means hurt by someone you trusted. For example, she felt betrayed when her best friend shared her secret. The word devastation. Devastation means very deep sadness or emotional pain. For example, he felt devastation after losing something very important to him. The word complicit. Complicit means involved in a bad situation, even if you did not directly cause it. For example, he stayed silent while others were being unfair, so he felt complicit. The word erode. Erode means to slowly destroy or weaken something over time. For example, constant arguments can erode trust in a relationship. What does steady mean? A. Stable and calm. B. Broken. C. Very fast. D. Loud. The answer is A. Stable and calm. What does imperceptibly mean? A. Very loudly. B. In a very small, hard to notice way. C. Quickly. D. Clearly. The answer is B. In a very small, hard to notice way. What does shattering mean? A. Funny. B. Emotionally painful or shocking.
C. Calm.
D. Simple. Challenge yourself. Write your answer in the comments. Thank you for watching. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any new content.